Hello everyone, welcome to the video. Today we will start off a new tutorial on how to make a timer and also a stopwatch with Arduino. And so basically this is going to be a group of tutorials, and so this is the first tutorial, and today we're going to be incorporating two buttons to help us so that we can navigate through the project that we will be doing, with like navigating through how long we want to set the time and what mode we want to be set on, if we want stopwatch or we want timer. And so basically that's what we'll be doing in this tutorial. So without further ado, let's get this video started. So now here is the circuit for this first tutorial, and all we have is two buttons right now. Eventually we're going to add LCD display and other components, but right now we just have the buttons for our first tutorial. So basically the first button, which is button 1, this is going to be connected to pin 10 on the Arduino, and then button 2 will be connected to pin 9 on the Arduino. Then both of these buttons are going to be both connected to ground on the breadboard, and then the ground on the breadboard will be connected to G&D on the breadboard. And you don't need to pull up the pull down resistor for these buttons because we're going to activate the one in the Arduino, so we don't need that. So now let's go ahead and connect this. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and connect up our buttons. So I'm going to go ahead and put them all the way over here, because in the future we'll have our LCD display all over here. So there we go. So now I'm going to go and connect them to the ground rail on the breadboard. The next one. So now I'm going to go ahead and connect them to their pins. So I'm going to go ahead and connect button 1 first. We'll connect that to pin 10 on the Arduino. And then the other button, which is button 2, will be connected to pin 9 on the Arduino. And so basically that's how you connect it. Okay, so now here is the code for this project as of right now for the two buttons. And so basically what we do is we go ahead and define both of the pins that we have connected our buttons to, which is pin 10, which is connected to button 1, so we're going to put it in the button 1 variable, and then pin 9, which we are going to put in the variable called button 2. And so then we continue on our code, and what we want to do is we want to make a toggle switch. So basically it's a button where when we press it, it doesn't do anything until we let go of the button. And when we let go of the button, it only does something once. And so the next variable is dt. This is going to be a constant, which means it's not changing. And what this variable is going to be used for is it's going to delay how long we should wait until the bounce issue with buttons pass. Because as you may know, that with buttons, when you press them, right when you press them, they have the bounce problem where the value goes up and down and then fully goes off or fully goes on. And so we have to wait 50 milliseconds for that to pass. So that's what we do here, which is hardly any time at all, but we have to have some type of delay time. So that's what we do here. And then we have a struct. Now a struct is basically something where it's basically like a package of variables that you can set, and you can define this multiple times. So for example, down here we say my data, which is the same name as the struct, and we do BD, which stands for button data in this case. I want to make it really short because we're going to be using this variable a lot, so I want to make it short. So basically what we're doing here is we're just taking a copy of all of this and we're making it equal to dB. And all these values are going to be set to the same thing, to dB. Okay, so now we can go and continue on our code, and we can point out a specific variable in this package and change its value or do things with its value. Okay, but by default, right when we set dB equal to my data, all these variables are going to be set to this default value. And this is helpful so that we can pass variables very easily among a function if that's importing or returning these values from a function. That's important because a function in Arduino can't return multiple different data types at the same time. So we have to put it in a struct where you can have all different types of data types and then send it. And it's just also a much organized way to deal with all of your values. So that's what we are doing here. So now I'm going to go ahead and explain all these values. I'm not going to go into big detail because this is all for like the toggle switch. And if you want to know more about the toggle switch, I will leave down in a link for a video that I've made about explaining about how the toggle switch works. But anyways, this is the first variable is button 1 new. This will be holding the newest value that we get from button 1. And then we have button old. This will be holding the oldest value that we get from button 1. And then we have button 2 new, same thing, just for button 2, and the same with button 2 old. And so basically this would tell us right when we have done something with the buttons. It would tell us if we have turned it on or turned it off, because these variables will be different. And then we have this variable right here called last millis. This will be holding the last time when we have just let go of the button, so that we can detect how long ago since we have let go of a button, so that we can wait 50 milliseconds. And since this is from the millis function, the millis function gives us these variables and unsigned longs. We also have to make this variable unsigned long as well, or will not work. So then we have booleans here. So this is for TF1. So this is for button 1, and you see what this is for later on. And the same with TF2. This is for button 2. And then we have a bool on off 1, and this is where the function that we have made that will do everything with the buttons. If this value is true, that means that we have a fully pressed and let go of button 1. So when this is true, and then if it's false, that means we shouldn't do anything with it. And then on or off 2, this is for button 2, and so this is when this variable will be true whenever we have pressed and fully let go of button 2. And as I said before, we make BD equal to my data, which will go ahead and just give it all these variables right here and have them set to these specific values. Okay, so now DB is what we're going to start using now. This is our package of all these values. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is we go into the void setup. We go ahead and set up a button 1, which will be an input right here, and then underscore pull up. This will activate the pull-up resistor in the Arduino for a button 1. And then we do the exact same thing for button 2. We say it's an input, and we also activate the pull-up resistor. Then we just activate the serial monitor, because we have to be able to print the values out to say we have pressed one of the buttons. So now we go into the void loop, and we go ahead and call the function. This function is called button reader. And so basically what we're doing is this function will be asking for our package of data right here. Okay, and so what's our package of data? That will be BD. And then the function that I'm going to show you it's going to go ahead and process and see if we are doing things with the button, and then it's going to come and give us the value back. It's just going to give us the new data since it may have changed some things, and so we have to update BD. So now I'm going to go ahead and explain this function. So basically this function is not on this tab because I want to make it a little bit organized. So what we did here is this is another tab up here, and it's called button reader. I actually haven't named the sketch yet, kind of forgot. Well, that's kind of bad on my part, but anyways, we'll come here. Here is the code for button reader that will read both of the buttons and see what state they are at, and if we should take action based on what we have done and what we have pressed with the buttons. So what we're going to do is we come in here and do bd.button new. So this is how we call the specific variables in BD, and that's going to be equal to digital read button 1. So we're basically going to be reading button 1. We're going to be putting its new value inside of button 1 new in BD, and then we're going to do the same thing with button 2 new. And so then we're going to say if db button 1 new equals 1, and that's what these mean, bd dot button 1 old equals 0. So if this is the case, that means we will previously, since button 1 old is equal to 0, we will previously pressing the button, because when we're pressing the button will be giving us a 0, and when we're not, it will be giving us a 1. So we will previously pressing the button, but now we're not, since button new is no longer equal to 0, but is now equal to 1. So this will occur right when we let go of the button. We will come into this if statement. And what we're going to do in this if statement is we do BD last millis equals millis. And so basically we're going to be putting the value that millis was currently at in last millis. And then we're going to do bd.tf1 and set it to true, saying that now we can come into this if statement down here and do something with it. So basically that's what we do here. And so now we do the exact same thing with button 2 as well, right here. And so now we make bd.button 1 old equal to bd.button 1 new. And so this will go ahead and set the button 1 old value to button 1 new value, because we're about to update button new. Alright, and so then we do the exact same thing for button 2 old. So now we'll come into this statement, which is for button 1, and we do bd dot button 1 new equals 1. If this is the case, then come into this statement. And millis is less than bd dot last millis, and if dt is less than this equation, then come into this if statement, because this will give us the time how long ago we have just let go of our button, since we have made millis equal to last millis right when we have let go of the button. And bd dot tf1 is equal to true. So basically we have to be able to press the button and let go of it to come into this statement. But when we come into this statement, tf1 will be set to false again, which means that we can only come into this statement every single time we let go of the button. Then we have to press the button again and let go of it again to come back into this if statement. And when we come into this if statement, we do bd on or off 1, which is for button 1. We set that to true, saying that, hey, we need to do something because we have fully pressed and let go of the button. We need to do some action. And then we also do bd dot tf1 equal to false. And then we go ahead and return bd to the void loop, which is over here, right here. So basically now we do the exact same thing for button 2. As you can see, we have button 2 new, we have tf2, we have on and off 2. It's basically the same thing but for button 2. We're basically reading and doing the exact same thing with these buttons, but these buttons have different functionalities. We're going to do different things based on if their on or off variable is true. Alright, and then if nothing happens, if this time if we come through this function and nothing's going on, then we're going to come to this return statement and just return bd. And after the button reader function returns this value, then we'll come in here and check if bd dot on or off 1, basically meaning if this is true right here, then come into this statement. Alright, so when these are true, that means that these buttons have been pressed and let go fully. And so we need to take some type of action. So when that happens, we'll come into this statement and say a button has been pressed. And same thing for bd on or off 2. So it's the same thing for button 1 and button 2. We're going to come in here and say a button has been pressed. Alright, and then we make both of these on or off 1 and on or off 2 set to false, to make sure that we don't come back into this function with on or off 1 or on or off 2 set to true, because then we're just going to come back into this statement next time around. So basically we're just going to go through this code over and over again, read these buttons, continue coming into this function right here and reading the buttons. So basically that is the code, and so now we can go ahead and see our project in action. And so basically here are the 2 buttons right here, as you can see. And so now I'm going to go ahead and press button 1, and then I'm going to go let go of it. And as you can see, we have a button has been pressed on the serial model. So then I go ahead and press the second button, and I'm going to let go. And as you can see on the serial model, we have another a button has been pressed on the serial model. And so I'm going to continue going ahead and pressing these buttons, and as you can see, more and more just start filling up the serial model. And so basically what this is telling us is that the buttons have been pressed, either button 1 or button 2 has been pressed. Now if we're just checking if button 1 has been pressed, we can just check button on or off 1. We don't have to check for on or off 2 if we don't want to. So basically that is the project. So if you like this video, consider giving this video a like. Also comment down below if you have any questions, and consider subscribing if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all and have a great day. Bye.